Dynamite download.
AEW 2020. John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I would not want that. I would not.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Ho, ho, ho. I'm the only one in Christmas cheer with my babyface red shirt and my elf hat. It is
It's too cold up here for that stuff.
It's almost the eve of the eve, and here we are. It's the Dukes of Dynamite.
We're
We
here.
got Crayfish, Booking by Bonds, and SPD. Hold on. It's SPD, baby!
Nice.
Guys, man, pulling into the holiday week, man. How are you guys doing?
I'm positively spectacular, man. I just think that this is a great night for wrestling, a great night for AEW, a big night for AEW, and I am stoked. It's almost Christmas too, so it's just an awesome week. What about you, Crayfish?
Yeah, life is good, man. Holidays are here. I think AEW is ending the year on a high note. This show felt great from start to finish. Throughout the night, there were multiple moments where I was like, I can't wait to talk to the fellas about this one. Gonna be a good time talking about this show, and I know that we're all geeked about next week's show. So AEW is really SPD. You called out in the summer, buckle up, baby. They are going all out, and it's really impressive to see, what they're able to put out there for us week in, week out. Can't wait to talk to you guys also about our end of the year awards. There's so much happening now that feels like it's changing how we feel. At the end of the year, changing the landscape, folks, right before the end of the year awards.
It's true.
Really impressed by what AEW was able to put together. And I think tonight's show is establishing trends that I think that as we talked about, changing the landscape, I think some trends that are coming out of tonight's show that are going to lead to big 2022s for a lot of these people that we see on tonight on that match card that you just showed, SPD.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be a lot of bright 2022s for some of those folks that you had on that match card that we got to see tonight.
And as you mentioned, man, our end of the year awards here at Dynamite Download was a tuxedo black tie event last year. And this year it's going to be even better because, AEW is just riding high. And that end of the year awards will be 1 week from tomorrow, next Thursday, the 30th. As we go into the new year, we're going to rake it in. The Dukes of Dynamite are going to bring you guys our end of the year award picks, and we want to hear your guys' picks. So stay tuned. As we get a little closer, we'll tweet out all the categories, and we want to share your guys' picks as well and see you guys in the chat. But tonight, this was quite the way to open the show because – as you mentioned, Crayfish and Bonds, these guys, Adam Cole, Bebe, and Orange Cassidy, both have over-the-top personalities in different ways and work so well together with such a great back-and-forth match. The crowd is split. I don't know who got the bigger pop tonight, Orange Cassidy or Adam Cole, but before I talk about the match, if you didn't watch BTE, definitely go back and watch it because the spray tan party, the stuff that Adam Cole's doing, and the super click is absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things that had me kind of like, what's going on is Trent was showing off his new in-ring gear and to Wheeler Yuta, he's like, I got different logos for each one of you here at Best Friends. And he was showing like the alien and then an orange for Orange Cassidy. But then there was a icon of a turd. And he's like, this one's for you, Wheeler. It's a piece of shit.
Oh no!
There's already some kind of you could see when Trent re-debuted some kind of uneasiness or
animosity or something. You felt it. You did.
Yeah, I think that the bigger story, talking about the bigger story, I think it's going to be pretty interesting how that plays out. But what we saw tonight, man, great chemistry in ring together stuff with Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole. What a fun match to watch live. I would have loved to be there because Adam Cole has all the things you want to cheer for, even though he's a bad guy.
Yep.
The ring entrance, the baby, the boom, all the stuff just to eat up the crowd. And then Orange Cassidy during the match has all the stuff you want to eat up with the hands in the pocket, the light kicks, and all that stuff.
The backing up slowly from
this is
absolutely
like showmanship at its finest.
Yes.
But all the showmanship aside, the in-ring work was fantastic, and the storytelling throughout the whole match and after the match to me was absolutely fantastic. And this is what we were anticipating. This is what we hoped for, and it delivered. And I think it delivered and then some with that match, man. So what did you guys think?
Man, excellent way to start the show. The chemistry in this match was top notch. You could tell these guys are having just a blast the whole time.
Oh yeah.
The whole match, they're having a blast. They're doing all their. They didn't leave anything out of this one. They're just
shit in
everything. They got everything in, including some cool stuff at the end, which we'll talk about in a minute. But just the match itself, absolutely fantastic, on point. I want to see that again. The first thing I thought of at the end of that match was like, man, I want those guys to run it back because that was just a blast. And that's when you have something special. Orange Cassidy is one of those guys who's a little bit of a niche wrestler, but I think that with somebody like Adam Cole, they have a similar size, similar build. They can do a lot of the same things in the ring together. And they're such different entities that it's fun as well from a story perspective. So I think that they had just a perfect matchup tonight. And this is the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see Adam Cole continue to get these wins and to do stuff like this and continue to grow as a star. And Orange Cassidy is one of those guys who I don't think taking a loss is going to hurt him too much against somebody like Adam Cole. It never hurts him. That's fair. So I think that this is a big match from the get-go. But the end of the match, we saw something a little crazier. When Kyle O'Reilly made his AEW debut, and the surprise that nobody was surprised about, but man,
the Christmas surprise
that was not a surprise, but it was a pretty awesome surprise. We all kind of saw this coming a mile away, but man, was it still awesome. And his debut was cool. He looked strong. There was a brawl at the end as well. And, the Undisputed Era is now in AEW, and it's epic. And Crayfish, I know you're dying. You're dying to talk about this. You're an NXT guy.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Kyle O'Reilly joining the All Elite?
Dude, Undisputed Era, they were holding down a certain level of independent street cred for WWE for a long time, man. And these guys were setting the bar consistently in NXT. The thing we saw now, they've literally rebranded NXT after this era is gone. Once Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, once these guys have left, it feels like a real transition happened because they were the last of a dying breed in that NXT era where it was like, we're bringing in indie stars who have put in the work and built a brand on their own. WWE is now embracing, we want to just kind of mold our own guys in NXT, and we don't want to deal with the Kevin Owens, the Seth Rollins, the Big E's. The Big E's not a great example of that. But there are a lot of these guys that have Sami Zayn, guys who have got their reputation in the independents. They want to have more of their own guys that they're building up through the ranks. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, these guys have a long storied history together, even dating back to Ring of Honor. And I know Bonds, you and I have a real respect for what Ring of Honor stood for. It's a shame that company is gone. I loved what they did. And a lot of the current biggest superstars in pro wrestling cut their teeth in Ring of Honor.
Right. Some of the best in the world.
But SPD, I told you last week when Kyle O'Reilly was hinted at that you would
give us a taste.
You would quickly become a big fan of Kyle O'Reilly, and I promise you, between this dude's just like his striking, I know you're a big striking guy.
Yes.
And Kyle O'Reilly's striking combined with his technical ability, he's going to be a quick riser for you as far as a guy you haven't seen a lot of, but you're going to really like him when you see what he can do in the ring. And you add the fact that he's got steez, dude. Like, this dude has just got like this, like, he's just got this coolness to him that it's a weird coolness, like a quirky coolness to him. He became a breakout star in Undisputed Era, so much so that it's weird because you saw the face-off a little tonight, Bonds, with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
These guys didn't end on good terms. Kyle O'Reilly became, honestly, SPD, Adam Cole was such a big egomaniac, right? You and I, we all have seen what he stands for in AEW in a short period of time. The conflict of personalities became inevitable in Undisputed Era because Kyle O'Reilly forced the hand, because he became such a breakout star himself in that group, that people viewed him as an equal to Adam Cole, not a guy who should just build Adam Cole's title reigns for him. Adam Cole was one of the greatest NXT champions in history, and a big part of that was because of Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. And I think that it's very interesting that all these guys are reunited, and they acknowledge that there may be a little turmoil that was still there. I like that. And it looked like they were also hinting at a little turmoil with the Bucks. Where do the Bucks stand with this new alliance?
That's very interesting.
Could Kenny eventually come back with the Bucks and eventually go against the Undisputed Era? Dude, there's so much to unpack here into going into 2022. The rest of tonight's show has a ton of exciting storylines, but this is unbelievable.
Man, is it ever? And like you mentioned, we could talk and dissect, I think, the whole end of that match for like an hour, because I have so many questions of like where you go with the Bucks. Like, I would love for them to be back as baby faces, but I'm loving this heel side of them so much on both BTE and just like leaning into all the danglies and all that. But it's very interesting. I think ultimately Adam Cole is gonna push the Bucks aside and kind of stick to his OG's, most recent kind of like clan. And I think that would be really interesting to have Adam Cole lead away. But I think it would have been a great booking situation where Kenny Omega and the Bucks versus those three. But obviously that's too soon. It'll happen one day. But where you go from that? Does Adam Cole and Undisputed kind of like beat down the Bucks so much and just go on this like amazing rampage where like the Bucks get shut off TV for a bit of it, with Kenny Omega, then ultimately have this ultimate comeback of Kenny Omega and the Bucks as like red hot baby faces or what, man? There's a lot of meat on the bones, as you always say.
Yeah, Bonds, what do you think?
Well, Kenny set up the Adam Cole betrayal anyway by kind of insulting him. So I think what's cool is that they set that up before, Kyle O'Reilly was even hired. And I think that they kind of knew what was coming, and they probably kind of had like, okay, like he's going to be here soon, and everybody knows it's going to be a money feud. Mm-hmm. So having Kenny set that up, you can set that up in a way where Adam Cole is the baby face, and they're the baby faces as well. You could do it either way, which is fun. I think that there will be a massive pop for Kenny when he's back, but Adam Cole's getting all these cheers now, even against guys like Orange Cassidy.
You say it all the time. Even though he's the heel, the fans love cheering for this guy, and you saw it in tonight's match. You saw, Orange Cassidy's usually one of those guys who's so over with the live crowds. There were moments when the fans were really cheering for Adam Cole, even when he was doing dirtbag stuff, right? So Bonds is onto something there that, there is a potential face run with Undisputed Era in AEW. That could happen. That's the fun part is I see both of you. I see the sides that both of you guys have there. And that's one of the fun parts of the Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson dynamic is that it felt like, man, Bryan Danielson could be a babyface or a heel. And man, he has leaned into this heel persona so much that he's become one of the strongest heels in pro wrestling right now.
That's an understatement.
He's a heat magnet.
He is a heat magnet, and that's a great way to put that. Man, I was like, he is so damn good on the mic. I don't know what's better, heel Bryan Danielson or babyface, but I think I'm leaning more towards heel. Like, the way he can just let loose, calling himself
Everybody's better as a heel, baby.
No, I mean,
positively true, baby. That is everybody's better as a heel.
Okay, it is more fun to be a heel because you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want. But I think it's more rewarding to have a robust triumph cheer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But he, like him calling himself the rightful champion, how he, anxious, the entitled millennial cowboy bullshit and all that, like he's saying. So I think that Danielson is just absolutely on fire right now. And the crowd, going to these different markets, the crowd is still excited for him and cheering for him, but he's doing his best to kind of just rub that in their face. But all in all, I was surprised at the end result of this. Hangman Page, he held his own on there, saying how he spilled too much blood for this and all, giving us that full emotional roller coaster. But the fact that they announced a rematch that soon, I was honestly pretty surprised at that. And I think it's great because you don't want to just string it along. And, Bonds, you and I talked about it. I'm like, what do you do? Like, how do you book this? Do you have both these guys kind of go separate ways for a little bit and then ultimately recircle? But we're getting this back again, whether it be a time limit or judge draw. It's going to be interesting. And it's a perfect way to get more eyes on the product as they shift into TBS, the first episode of Dynamite.
Oh man, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to just run it back because that match was so good, and I don't think you can justify not giving Danielson another match after he just went 60 minutes with the champ. So I think that you kind of have to have that rematch. You can't say, okay, well, this guy took our champion to 60 minutes and it ended in a draw. We're not going to give him another opportunity. I think that's frankly garbage. And I think Bryan Danielson would agree. So, I think that he would be totally down based on his promo tonight. Like he thinks he's the rightful champ. So I think that he's positive that he could beat Hangman Page. It's going to be an amazing match. And I wonder, I'm curious to see if they go with having the judge's decision or they have it just be like an actual finish. I'm curious. I think that'll be
who would be the judges, you think? Cornette.
Definitely Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette. Let me think. Vince Russo. Definitely. Right. And
Disco Inferno.
And Pee Wee Herman. Those would be the three good judges.
And Eric Bischoff.
Bischoff. Yeah, that's fair.
David Arquette.
David Arquette.
All right. We'll bring out all the legends.
Yeah, let's bring them all in. There we go. Vince McMahon could be the judge. That'd be perfect.
That'd be great.
They should do like the Oklahoma thing, but with Vince and just have some guy.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Hey man.
If you're getting off, honestly, Bob, you're starting to cut a promo almost, and it's like, let's pitch it to the master of the promo, MJF.
Okay.
My gosh.
So this was pre Wardlow's match, and man, he started off this segment really getting into the Ward Dog.
He's just like nuggying him. I think he's a bully giving him a nuggy.
He's got his boys in the background
talking down to him, like just man, it was insulting. And so MJF, I gotta say, he quickly rectified his behavior, said, all right, I said my piece, and moved on. But man, this guy can cut a promo like nobody's business and set the stage for a big match like few in the industry. Just the overall vibe of the Pinnacle. It's nice to see these guys back again, I think. I'm actually, I mean, obviously, as a guy who's representing Team Heel, I think that this collection of superstars is really impressive, and it's great to see them work together. They kind of have – I like that gang mentality. I've always liked the group. I love the stables. I've always loved that. And this does feel like if AEW wanted to, they could justifiably make this one of the most dominant stables in wrestling if they wanted to. Don't you feel like it?
Yeah, they're they're ready for that. And I think that we saw that tonight with the matchup and the main event. I think that Tony knows what he's got here. He's got gold. He's got, one of the best tag teams in the world, justifiably one of the best heels in the industry. Yep. There's nobody that can hang with him on the microphone. Just in every single segment, he's on point. I don't think I've ever seen MJF flub a line. I don't think I've ever seen him flub a move.
Dax flubbed a little bit in his promo, but MJF, right on course.
Never has he missed a beat, MJF, and that's what. Not only like for someone his age, but that's just another layer of why he's so damn good. And his promo, as always, I mean, we're like a broken record. He's a fire promo, perfect promo. He dug in at Sting, calling him a Krusty the Clown makeup. He told a dog to CM Punk, walked away. You chose early retirement. He called them mid-card schmucks with Darby and Sting. So, like, he's hitting people back, nonstop. And there you go. Are you trying to be Malachi? We're not at the Malachi.
It's not the Malachi
Malachi Black segment already.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But I mean, this was just, I thought this, typically we see like a quick little MJF promo, but man, that guy was just like smoke coming out of his ears, just steaming at the, over everything. But it was what I loved about it was it's setting the stage for a Wardlow warpath. And I am all for this, and we know it, here at Dynamite Download. The fans, you can clearly hear them. They are just so behind. Bro. They're on the Wardlow Express. We're coining that from Darby Allin, but the fans are on the Wardlow Express. Dynamite Download has been on the Wardlow Express from day one. Since he inaugurated 65 weeks ago. And, we picked Wardlow as our breakout star of 2021. And like you mentioned, you guys both mentioned, like, the year's not over. And we've seen Wardlow on almost back-to-back Dynamites just do an absolute, annihilation. I timed this one, a minute and 10 second match, 4 power bombs. The fans are just eating it up. Like it's Christmas dinner, Christmas breakfast. They're eating it up, wanting, 14 power bombs and making the captain, RIP Captain Sean Dean. But this was just an absolute, just show of strength.
It was
Love it.
I mean, it was an absolute massacre. And Wardlow makes it look easy. And the guys, and here's the thing, man, like his offense right now, so simplified. Right? Yeah. So simplified. We've seen glimmers of what this guy can do athletically in some of his bigger matches.
Sure.
We've seen him put to the test in a cage multiple times.
Yep.
Wardlow has it all. But when you put him in situations like this, bro, the power bomb is over. It's like it's a showcase, like the multiple power bombs. That is something that I want to see. I want to see him just dominate people like that. And there's something about this guy that from day one, you see it in him. He's got that it factor.
And then some.
He's going to be a huge star in this industry. And I think AEW is doing a very smart, even though it's frustrating sometimes because you want to see that breakout happen in today's day and age.
We want it so bad.
We want it so fast. We want everything to come right as we want it, And I love how they're
now and all this run, but they're slow playing us like you got ribs overnight, slow cooking.
Yeah, slow cook it, baby. Little smoker action. I mean, the War Dog, let's be honest. He's positively incredible in the ring. The guy cannot be stopped when he steps between those ropes. The longest active winning streak in AEW. I could go on and on about this Cleveland-born badass. The War Dog is and has been one of my favorite individuals in the entire AEW, and that hasn't changed even with Bryan Danielson coming in, CM Punk coming in. Guys like Powerhouse Hobbs emerging. There's been a lot of guys. Dante Martin getting the spotlight. There's been a lot of great stuff that's happened over the course of this year. From the beginning of 2021 to the end of 2021, Wardlow is still one of my absolute favorite performers in the entire company. We don't get to see him enough. But when we do, it is special every single time. I love this guy. I can't wait to see him just absolutely break out, dude. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and unanimously, Dynamite Download loves Wardlow and supports Wardlow, and we are going to be the biggest Wardlow maniacs at the next show we go to, where he's just annihilating people. And what'd you say, Bonds?
I would love to be there in
When's it gonna happen,
Cleveland.
man? When's
It's gonna
it gonna
happen. It's gonna happen in Cleveland in January.
I would love.
That's when he's
Better
gonna
be
he's gonna
going,
punch
bro.
MJF's
Hold it
face.
down.
Oh yeah, don't worry. But he's gonna punch
I can
MJF's
go, I wanna
face in Cleveland. He's gonna have the hometown team behind him, the crowd. It's gonna be cheering for him as he just pummels MJF's face into the ground. And he's gonna get a nice Cleveland beatdown. It's gonna be fantastic.
Maybe break a bottle of champagne over his head after he's talked so much about this freaking champagne.
Yeah,
how great would that be?
Yeah,
I'm positive it's gonna happen soon.
I love it.
Definitely happening, man. Like, we're seeing it now. It's gonna be a Batista down thumb moment, and it's gonna be epic. But speaking of epic, I know, Crayfish, you're dying to talk about the DMD. This is your segment, bro. Your weekly DMD segment. So she ripped into Riho
as always.
Yeah, and she rips into people as well as anybody else. It's like her and MJF at the top of the mountain for
I
just
said that from
being mean to everybody.
This one
Britt's
was
so
great.
nice, so it's so crazy. She just, when she gets in the back, man, she just can't handle being nice to people. You know, I think she just knows that she's a champ. She's got to show her place. But man, I love this promo. It was funny. Tony Schiavone plays his role pretty well. He's always hilarious doing his background stuff, and Rebel and Jamie Hayter have their quirks too. It's just great.
Everybody's played their role perfectly.
Perfect in this. But I'll let you take the floor here, man. What do you think?
DMD, let's be real.
Yeah.
The DMD in her segments, everybody is elevated when they're involved with Britt Baker in the segment. Everybody, because she is such a pro. I've said it from the beginning. I said it from the beginning of Dynamite Download, guys. Back when Britt Baker was doing segments in a wheelchair, Britt Baker is as consistent of a heel as MJF, and she deserves the recognition that MJF gets for being killer on the microphone. She deserves to be put in the same conversation as being one of the pillars of this company, and it's awesome to see Britt own that. I mean, what she said about Rio was not. It was again, Britt delivers these haymakers of truth, because it's like, all right, Rio is just coming back, and she just expects a title shot while I've been here holding it down. That sounds sounds real fair. Let's do that. Of course, this person has a bunch of tape on me because I've been performing week in and week out. I have no tape on her since a year ago. Like, how is this fair? Of course I'm going to lose. I got thrown off my game. Now that Britt has seen Riho face to face, now that Britt has seen Riho go face to face with Jamie Hayter, there's some tape on Riho again. And Britt is not losing this belt to Riho, guys.
Bro, are you sure? Are you scared at all?
I'm not worried even a little bit. And the reason why is because heading into 2022, as the DMD said, it would be the biggest popping of a balloon, just a wet fart, if DMD lost the belt going into the new year. When you have someone who is,
I've had plenty of those.
Yeah,
trust me. I've known you since high school. I know you have. That's for sure.
Anytime the mute button comes up for SPD, guys, you know what he's doing.
My point stands, and the truth of the matter is this: like, when Britt Baker cuts a promo, you can count on it being one of the best segments of the night, and that's one of the things that we talk about week in, week out when we get to see MJF. Yep. And there's only a few people on this roster that you can really say every single week, every single segment, no matter who they're paired with, delivers. And Britt has had some challenges in her reign already that have tested her ability to really carry a feud in a promo setting. There's very few women on this roster who can go on the mic like Britt. Very few. And we've seen that exposed over the course of this championship run, that there are talented women out there, but there's only one DMD.
You're absolutely right. And she's speaking truth.
Yeah.
She said she built her own throne and her own kingdom. She built this division. She was the pulse of this company. She was a pillar of this company, and Rio is out of her league. And no, how can you argue that?
You can't, bro.
No argument from us.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah, I'm going to steal a line from Matt Hardy. The truth is the truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
I'm so glad to hear us all in the holiday spirit, all celebrating the DMD together. It makes me very happy inside. I love it. You know, the women's division, even though the DMD still is the cream of the crop, this women's division is getting more and more interesting. There was a great segment tonight again with Serena Deeb and Sheeta, which is becoming one of my absolute favorite feuds on this roster.
Absolutely, agree.
In the landscape of AEW, really great feud.
Agreed.
And then there was a match between Ruby and Nyla, which was impressive to see. These semifinals, SPD, you said it when we were chatting before the show. So hard to book these semifinal matchups.
I went back
and I feel like Ruby winning is a bit of a surprise, a little bit of an upset. Do you guys agree?
Kind of to a point. I think that Ruby's gotten since she's been in AEW, she's gotten a lot of opportunities and a lot of big moments. And I think that this tournament's been a big just elevation of her. I think that they know that she's talented, she's popular with the fans, and putting her in these situations is just going to make the women's division better. The good thing too is that Nyla is a former champ, and Nyla has beating somebody like Nyla is always a benchmark for a talent.
The gatekeeper, brother.
She's the gatekeeper. We call her that for a reason. And
when gate has been open for Ruby Soho.
Exactly, it puts her in an upper echelon of talent in the division. And I think that that's necessary. I think that's needed. We just talked about how DMD, sometimes through her title reign, there's been some struggles because of not her, but the lack of opponents that were set up prior to her winning that belt. Part of that's because there's only one women's match per Dynamite, and that's
good point.
Before Rampage, before Rampage, there was one match on TV per week for the women. And so it's hard to build a division like that. Now there's two, and we see the dividends. It's paying off. Like people like Ruby Soho get more TV time because there's more matches, there's more opportunities.
Yeah, really great point.
And she's had matches on Rampage. So this is just another example of Tony Khan building it the right way. It was a slow build at times, but I think that we're finally starting to see the payoffs, and this is a payoff right here.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this one, as we've talked before this, like it shouldn't have been a surprise when Ruby Soho emerged in the AEW landscape when we were there live in Chicago. Like she instantly was in the main event.
Connects with the crowd.
So, to continue to push her into that main event picture, even though I think we can collectively agree we don't necessarily think she could win. She's not going to win this tournament unless there is. I think Jade is the clear favorite now, but it makes sense like Jade versus Ruby in the finals. I think
it also makes sense Thunder versus Ruby in the finals because they were the last two in the women's.
Made sense, yeah.
They were the last two in the women's battle royal.
You're right.
I mean, let's be honest, and if we're gonna be really honest with each other, we all think that Jade is a superstar. But if we're talking pure wrestling, if we're talking pure matchup, Ruby versus Thunder in the ring would be freaking fired.
Money.
It would be.
I mean, that would be a badass match.
You're right.
And those women would tear each other apart. I agree that Jade feels like the favorite, and I don't want to play devil's advocate too much, but I mean, the Thunder Rosa fanatic in me wants to point out, hey, there's history on if AEW wanted to, they could lean into some real history between Ruby and Thunder. And how often have we seen Thunder Rosa challenge some of the best women in the world, not just in AEW, but in the world of pro wrestling?
You're right.
Having her go toe to toe with Ruby for the TBS title would be compelling stuff. Now, SPD, I agree. The common narrative does feel like TBS, that bitch show. It's gonna be Jade's belt, but
lean into that right now. Capitalize on it.
I understand. I get it, but I see that there's more, and it's a good thing. there's lots of options in the women's division for once, and that feels really, really good.
It does. And, I don't remember if it was U-Bonds or Crayfish, but like you guys said that Ruby is a sleeper of this tournament. And as the announcer teams has said, they said she's had the toughest path to date, which obviously she didn't have a bye. But to me, this match, I'm back on the Nyla Rose fan, the wagon, because I think I really enjoy her matches. I enjoy her methodical offense, her pacing, and I like the fact that she's aggressive, and I like that she'll take heavy bumps, and she'll deliver. She'll take what she delivers. She delivers aggressive offense, but not only that, but she'll be happily take it. That chair shot to the face, that was a pretty brutal match. But then she turns around and then does that. The knee drop off the top rope to me is one of the more brutal, cool visuals where you're just hanging there on a rotisserie chicken over the top rope, and all of a sudden a knee on the back on your back just gets springboard over. So I'm all for that. I'm anxious to see where Nyla Rose goes next in a feud, because I think you talk about building division, that's a perfect person to develop a sub feud, non-gold belt related, with a lot of baby faces. You have this heel run by her where she just can go through baby faces, but Ruby Soho versus whomever it's going to be in the finals, it's going to be fun. And I think that's a perfect, whether it be the only babyface or babyface versus babyface, it makes most sense. Thunder's path makes the most sense to get to Ruby, but also Jade's path, going through, rising, and it'll be fun where it's Jade heel, Ruby babyface, kind of two new people in AEW. I don't know. I'm all for it, man. I think the booking of this tournament is going to be very interesting how it plays out. But
I love hearing you so positive about the women's division too. I mean, it's a lot of positivity coming out of you about the women's division, and that's not, what a 180 from the beginning of this year. The women's division has really turned you around, and you are a huge advocate for it now, and that's awesome. I love hearing that.
You're absolutely
because of the work
man.
of the DFD, brother. Yeah, boy. Yeah, telepods. A matchup that I thought was, honestly, guys, a lot of great matches tonight. This was my favorite match of the night.
Wow.
Malachi Black versus Grif Garrison was my favorite in-ring match of the night. And sometimes I'm hard on Malachi Black with his in-ring offense. I sometimes feel like he's more sizzle than steak when it comes to personality. He's great with promos, but sometimes his offense doesn't click for me. But this was a match where it was really fire.
Yeah. You're right.
His striking was on point, and I loved Grif's energy. Grif really brought it tonight. There was that roaring elbow strike that he had connected on a dime. I felt like the pacing of this match, the striking between these two guys, was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed just the back and forth, that sparring. Maybe it's just me, but I thought that this one told a really good story too. Even though it was kind of a smaller under feud thing going on with Malachi. Sure. I liked the energy and the spunk and the fire that Grif brought, the sense of urgency that Grif brought in this match. It felt like a fight. It felt like it was wrestled like two guys that were mad at each other, and not just guys going through the motions, two guys that really genuinely were fighting. And I liked that energy, that pacing. I thought it was really smartly executed. And a really great showcase of a veteran and a young star that we all believe in. I mean, we interviewed Grif Garrison.
Yeah.
And I wanted to interview the kid because I do feel like he's got something. This kid has that it factor that they keep giving him opportunities over the course of his career. He's going to start to build on this. This was a real great match for Grif tonight. I was very impressed with his overall energy.
You're 23 years old. You've shared the ring with MJF, singles match on national television. You've been in there with Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, all the names of the names. Grif Garrison has done that. And when we talk to him, if that kid just gains 20 more pounds, I mean, he's got the look now, and he's got the athleticism now, and he's got clearly, as we saw last week, that promo that he was spitting was absolutely spot on. It was kind of like one of those things like you kept like thinking about, like, wow, we knew he had it in him, but we didn't expect to get this spotlight and see this like leading up to this match, and we were very, very impressed by that. So I agree with you, man. I think like this pairing worked really well, and hopefully this feud kind of like continues where we can see the whoever Malachi Black is recruiting to the House of Black, like Varsity Blondes are an awesome babyface team. This could be Black and Malachi Black's first feud tag team feud, and it'll work. Have Flying Brian Pillman go one-on-one with Malachi Black too, and then ultimately, have that tag match. So that's kind of like it would work really well. Bonds.
Yeah, I feel it, man. This is the best 2 weeks of Griff Garrison's AEW career, in my opinion. Like he has one of his best matches and his best promo last week. I love it. I love seeing a young guy like this get that opportunity, against somebody like Malachi. I think that he had an edge to him tonight. He had some aggressiveness to him tonight. It was something we haven't seen. This felt like these guys were mad at each other, like you said. And we talk about this a lot, especially with like tournament matches, right? Where sometimes people in the tournament don't feel like they're in the tournament, like they don't really know what the situation is, and that's kind of frustrating. When it's something there's a lot on the line. These guys, there wasn't anything on the line other than pride, and they showed that, okay, man, like I'm gonna just punch you in the face, and we're gonna have this kind of match.
Kick the crap out of each other. And
it was quick, it was brutal, and it was honestly a blast. And I love seeing Grif go toe-to-toe with Malachi in that way. I think that's awesome. It elevated him, even though he didn't win. And I think that I want to see more of this. I want to see more of these kind of matches where Malachi kind of alienates people to a point where they just get angry at him, and he can kind of use that to fuel his own offense. And that's what's really fun about Malachi. And I'm stoked about it, man. But, as Mark Henry would say, it's time for the main event. And
SPD,
what a main event it was.
Bonds had some killer moments in that last segment, by the way. We got some Instagram clips right there. I have a feeling we're gonna have a few more in this one because Bonds gets to talk about MJF.
The best of the best, baby. MJF.
Facts.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He blocked us because you two goons were too positive. He hasn't blocked me yet on my personal Twitter, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you what. Look at the star power on this screen right here. You can even get rid of the right side, and it's crazy star power. But you get 6 of the most talented top stars in the world in a free TV main event. No titles on the line, nothing like that. Just an awesome match. And man, just from the beginning, the optics of it all. There we go, the man right there. But the optics of it all with like Darby in different paint and Sting with his CM Punk face paint was awesome. And then, CM Punk doing his old homage as well. That's just great. It was such a positive moment for those guys, and I loved it. And everybody on social loved it. Just absolutely spot on, awesome.
Badass.
And then MJF, during the match, just kept running around in circles around everybody, ran into the crowd,
hilarious.
ran away from CM Punk. He just refused to wrestle CM Punk outright, and it was
gassed him.
It was the funniest
through the stands, through the concessions, and back down. That had me literally laughing out loud because I'm like,
yeah,
who does this? And I don't know if it was planned or not, but man, I thought I'm laughing. I'm like, he is literally running away like a bully chasing someone in school, man. It was so funny, and he played that hand so well the whole match.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just doing it perfectly because that's the ultimate payoff when CM Punk and MJF are throwing fists back and forth, and that match is the ultimate payoff. Yeah. And MJF did so good at avoiding CM Punk the whole match. But wow, man, this one, what I think we're seeing a trend, and I'm hoping we're seeing a trend with AEW giving the people what they want for one, but also giving time to matches that deserve it. This one was a 30-minute match. Sometimes we get 15 minutes or less for main events because there's so much packed in a Dynamite. Last week we saw the 60-minute match and 4 matches total. And tonight we saw 5 matches, 4 matches and an absolute ass whooping by Wardlow. But that being said, giving the matches time And I think as a wrestling fan, us and the other, AEW Nation, I think that giving us less matches and more time is more rewarding in the long run. Watching Dark, to me, it's not rewarding. When you're seeing 2 minute, 1 minute, 3 minute matches, like yes, okay, you're seeing people wrestle that you love to cheer for, but I would rather have a story told. I would rather have a picture painted, not just like, oh, hit your high spots real quick. Live, I guess it'd be different, but I'm all for like this match.
They both have
having
their
so much
place.
time was
I
so
think that,
interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Dark needs to be more like its own entity, and like that should be a place where the Factory should be getting a
Yes.
storyline.
Yes.
We should see QT Marshall and those guys kind of running Dark like the Mob,
Yeah,
like the
good point.
Sopranos, and you could have storylines with the Varsity Blondes on there. Now that they're getting a little more time on Dynamite, that would be different. But let's get some undercard feuds and characters developed.
You're seeing the Gun Club do some of that right now.
Gun Club, and just get some guys like that
boys.
building actual stories. Sean Spears, he gets credit. He gets a lot of FaceTime on screen on Dynamite, but get him into a feud on Dark where he's actually engaged in matches that matter. Do some stuff with guys that we talk about it. Very deep roster, a lot of talent. Let's get some feuds that are actually building some stories and make it its own entity. But regardless, I feel like in the main event tonight, we got to see an example of what makes AEW so great. And it's been one of the things that I feel like they've done. They do a lot of things very well, but one of the best things that they do is integrate their veterans with their young talent.
You're right.
And, Jericho was their first world champion. And as a veteran, he set the bar very high with how the veterans should interact with the young talent. He got people over. He made this company have longevity. It wasn't just the Jericho dominating everybody tour.
Right.
He helped build stars. And our current world champion had a little feud with him. I mean, Kenny, the previous world champion had a feud with Jericho. These guys were helped. They gained a lot of their footing in North American wrestling on a big stage because of their interaction with Jericho. And I think, you see Matt Hardy do things where he's elevating younger guys. You're seeing that this is an example where Sting has been teamed up with Darby. The blending of young CM Punk and MJF, this feud is a veteran and a young talent coming together. It's just very smartly executed. And I think AEW deserves a lot of credit for that because there is a temptation that you could bury some of your own talent at the expense of these bigger stars. And AEW has walked that line very well, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel it, man. I think that they've done a great, like you said, Jericho is a perfect example of this. Like every stable seems to have like a veteran in it. Like Jurassic Express is one. Team Taz. There's a lot of,
you're right.
All these stables have have a veteran with young talent that they're trying to make to make better and to help. And we saw this in the background when we were just at All Out. These guys, this isn't just for show. I mean, these people hang out, at the hotels, the stuff they're doing, and they're picking their brains the whole time.
They're talking to each other over drinks.
They talk to each other and hang out, and they're bonding and learning. I don't think it's, to go back to the last segment for a second, I don't think it's any surprise that Grif Garrison's getting better. Yeah. Because all we hear about is how tight this locker room is and how great it is. And I think that Sting being with Darby and CM Punk now being with Darby, like they know, and this guy's got it, and we got to keep elevating this guy. And I think that part of why Darby's almost grown so much in terms of our opinion is because he can have matches that he can have his style in when they're trios matches, when they're double, like when they're tag team matches. You can have that kind of style.
Yep.
When you're not wrestling singles every week against guys that are bigger than you.
You're right.
You can do that, and it works better. And I think that all of us can agree that we've been hot and cold on Darby at different points throughout Dynamite Download's tenure, but we can all say that we've seen the talent. And I think that Tony finally sees how to present that in a way where we can all appreciate it. And I think that that's awesome for this. And I think that you can see it on the other side. Like MJF doesn't need any mentors or anything. I don't think that's necessary. But he's got Tully in his corner,
and
man. He's
Sean
got
Spears.
Sean Spears has been around forever, and he's doing that too. And I think that they're so smart with how they're developing these guys and making them grow. And like Sean Spears, even with Wardlow, like Wardlow's not as young as those guys, like age wise, but he's young in the business. Yep. And Wardlow is gaining so much with Sean Spears, like it's
and FTR invests in the business, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean,
absolutely
all these guys.
Yeah, and that was my bigger
every
point.
Team.
Yeah, that was my bigger point, and I think that this was a match that was a showcase. And I know there are lots of different things that we could talk about, and I don't mean to hijack the conversation. There's a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to this match. Yeah. But the thing, as a lifelong wrestling fan, that I was absorbing the most from this was, man, what a showcase of AEW really utilizing that balance of veteran and youth in one match. You know, MJF being a young superstar teamed with FTR, guys who were veterans in this business. And then you just talked about Darby really being presented in the best possible way, being teamed up with a CM Punk, being teamed up with a Sting, allowing Darby to be that wild card, that unpredictable madman who changes everything at the drop of a dime with one move, one reckless, crazy move. And then to have the power of the Stinger in his corner. Sting was unbelievable tonight, launching MJF on his face to the outside. And I know you were geeking out. The Stinger diving off the top to the outside. I mean, unbelievable athleticism from a 63-year-old man. I mean,
I completely agree. And I was trying to explain to my wife, I'm like, how old Sting is? Like, what? Like, unbelievable. And like that sealed the deal for me for Sting to be my top performer. Like, you know, obviously the history that the commentator team did with the, Greensboro, North Carolina, which unfortunately I'm missing it by a day. Tomorrow I'm going to Greensboro for Christmas. So I just missed it by a day where I could have gone to Dynamite. But that's another story, a sad story. But the Stinger, my top performer of the night, hands down. This was a stacked card overall, but I think what he's been willing to do in the ring, outside the ring, and how good he looks. We've seen veterans slow down, but someone where it is in his position right now is absolutely incredible. And I know you all can agree what he's been doing is absolutely incredible. And this is really unique. This is one of the first times in many months, I think, when all three of us have picked a different top performer. In
very rare occasion. We have more sweeps than we do.
That's true.
Differences like this.
You're right.
Very rare.
Yeah.
And Crayfish, doesn't surprise me picking a heel.
Well, not only a heel, but the heel.
The heel.
And I just felt like he anchored so much of the show tonight.
Good point.
From early on with the promo pre-match with Wardlow, really taking pressure off the Ward Dog to have a good segment promo before his big match, setting the stage for Wardlow to be irritated and pissed off so that he could go out there and just absolutely massacre the Captain. Salute to you, Captain. Sorry for taking that beating. But MJF rubbing salt in the Wardlow wounds and getting him irritated for his match, then hyping up the main event with his team FTR in a perfectly executed promo, and then his incredible entertainment in the main event that we just talked about, him running laps through the arena to win gas CM Punk and to not fight him like a coward. Just MJF is always on. He's so good at what he does. I miss you, MJF. You salty son of a bitch. You're so great at what you do. I positively promise that you will be everything you say you will be, because, dude, this dude, SPD, he talks it, he walks it. Brother, this man lives it. He drinks that
salt and margarita.
He drinks that salty margarita. This dude is the real deal.
Extra salt.
I am truly sometimes in awe of how good he is at what he does. He really makes, you said it earlier, he never makes mistakes. He never makes big flubs. He's so good, so on top of things, so perfectly executed every single time we see him. It is so great to see AEW start to give us more MJF matches. I want to see this guy wrestle more. I want to see more MJF in 2022. He's the real deal, man. Give us more. If that's 2022 will be a great year if this is the trend that we see continue.
Yeah, right. Man, I feel it. And I picked Ruby Soho for the reasons I mentioned during that segment, man. This is a big moment for her. This is a big moment for the women's division. More so than just for Ruby Soho, this is a big moment for the division. Anytime somebody beats Nyla Rose, it's a big moment, and it's somebody that we need to watch out for to be in that big-time main event conversation. And this is a big moment for her. It could have gone either way. None of us knew what was going to happen to this match. We talked about it, and I said I honestly have no idea. And
True.
I really love the result. I think the match itself was fantastic, and got to give props where they're due, man. Ruby deserved it for me tonight for sure. So great episode overall, though, man. Pacing was on point tonight, guys. I loved the pacing of this Dynamite. Just
you're right,
perfect.
Man. I mean, this was a very exciting one that was pretty nonstop, and we are not going to be doing a Rampage rundown this week because it's on Christmas Day. We're still going to be watching the show, so you know where to follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. We're going to be chatting and watching the show, but we want everyone to have a great Christmas week, Christmas time. This Christmas show is absolutely stacked, to say the least, and so it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about it on Dynamite Download, and then this could have a little ramifications leading into our awards show. So next week is a busy week for Dynamite Download. So we're going to be back on Wednesday with Dynamite Download episode 66. Thursday, December 30th. Mark your calendars. Put on those black ties. Put on those gowns. And come over to the end of the year awards, the 2021 Dynamite Download Awards show on Thursday evening. And then, as well, we're going to bring in the new year. So, it's a big week for Dynamite Download next week. We want to thank you all for joining us through all this year and in the chat. We love hearing you guys. We love the support. And we hope that you all have a great holiday week. Have a Merry Christmas. And SPD, baby!
And leave your terrible sign.